Looking pretty good for a dead man. Hello and welcome to a Smurd P video, and today we are looking at Uncanny X-Men Annual 1, the first one that they've had since their return in November. And the cover is beautiful. It's all about Cyclops. It looks like an internal struggle there, which is pretty cool. And then inside the cover we've got about the writer, etc, etc, etc. And then it's got a little bio about the return of Cyclops. Okay, so our story begins with the graveyard of Cyclops, which is what you would expect. And he's escaped. Well, he's alive. But how? So in order for that to work, we've got to travel back to a very long time where comics weren't like they are now. And I like how they've done this. It looks pretty nice, pretty vintage. And he's in his original costume. This guy's kind of gone berserk because he got fired by some guy because his ideas were a bit crazy. And he built a giant robot just to find the reason for his being fired. And he attacks his university. And Cyclops stops him. And then we get the guy who approaches Cyclops and, you know, I'm the one who dubbed on him. I'm expecting my first kid, etc. And, you know, he says he's welcome. And, you know, if there's anything I can do, I want to return the favor. So, sorry about my croaky voice. I've got a bit of man flu going on. So, fast forward a few years. And I do hope you can actually hear what I'm saying as well. We've got young Cable, Kid Cable, who was a big part of the extermination story with the original X-Men, return them to their homeworld. So basically he approached this guy saying, you can help me. And we've got this container which was designed to capture the Phoenix egg. So what I find is this is such a well thought of story. I don't know whether it was Ed who actually came up with the whole story, but it's brilliant. It all ties up perfectly. There's nothing weird about this return. It all feels like, yeah, that could happen. So he's basically saying that he wants the Phoenix egg capture to be that small, etc. So Scott Summers died, as you know, and here they are around that time making their move. So they body slide where Cyclops is obviously dead, and basically they haven't got much time. So it's all about capturing the Phoenix. So Kid Cable at this point knows everything that is happened, so to speak, even with the next bit. So first of all, let me carry on with this bit. So basically they put the egg inside Cyclops so that when the Phoenix resurrects Jean Grey, she brings him back as a temptation for Jean to say, you know, I can give you everything if you join with me. Obviously she turned her down, turned the Phoenix, and we don't know that the Phoenix is a her or a boy or just a cosmic universal effect. So anyway, Cyclops died, but as he died, the Phoenix Force was sucked into him. Hence, he's back. It's absolutely brilliant. So when he wakes up, so this dude, I can't remember his name. That's how, you know, he's a means to the end as far as I can see. And he's just saying, you know, I'm glad that I got to pay you back, so to speak. Okay, one thing that I liked extra about this story is that they actually talked about the device, etc., the Cyclops, and how it brought him back, etc. So, meanwhile, Cyclops is being kept. He wants to see Jean. I find it odd that he doesn't want to see Emma as well. You know, it's... I understand that first love thing, but he did move on for quite a while, so it's quite interesting. Meanwhile, the dude in the beginning of the story is... Tavin is now free. He goes to his house where he has a little kind of note left for him. And meanwhile, Cyclops, he's just confirmed that his younger self has gone back and he still has those memories. So I find that interesting. Bear in mind that I haven't actually read Extermination 5, so don't spoil it for me. I read up to that point and I never just got a chance to read that final issue. I wish they left a gap between it. I wish they hadn't. Kind of bugged me a bit. So Young Cable says that he retired the old Cable because he wasn't keeping the timeline in place. And Cyclops, this is his son, but he's not seeing him the way perhaps he should. And he's saying that it wasn't right, and that Cyclops died the way he died. He was their leader, he was their hope, etc. And he was for a long time until, they did turn their back on him, I felt. A majority of them. Like he was the bad guy, but he wasn't. He was always trying, he was put in that difficult position during decimation. And I think he never stopped. He never stopped trying to protect his people. So, and before they move on, he needs to check something first to prove it. Okay, so the next part is quite awesome, quite clever. So Young Cable wants to see. He's setting things up, so he wants to see what kind of man Cyclops is. So there's a choice: or go help the other X-Men with Legion, or save one man who is about to be murdered, basically, because of what he did a long time ago, and it's basically revenge in a simple term. So you're seeing some of the battle scenes from Uncanny X-Men 10. Meanwhile, this is happening as well. So Paul is doing a heroic thing. He's willing to protect his family like a father should do. And pretty much Cyclops comes in for the save. It's quite funny. He says to him that you should, you've 13 years, you should have found a better way to hide your kind of weakness. So Cyclops pretty much does the same thing he did in the early part of this story. Okay, this bit kind of bugs me a bit. So Cyclops, he's saying that they were on the verge of extinction, etc., and he got a bit angry, etc., and basically he was kind of saying that he became what they hated and feared. But I never ever saw it like that. I always saw that, he was trying to protect his people, but he was still willing to help humans, as far as I'm concerned. I'd probably have to go back and read that Uncanny X-Men run again. But every time he was put in, decimation, put in a position, he stood up and he was counted for, and he got them through that bit. Hope came back. Then it was time for the, he saw the Phoenix for what it was, a means to restore mutant kind, etc. So he was with Hope, training Hope, etc., and getting her ready. And then the Avengers came in, they came in, and took that decision away from him instead of saying, what can we do to make this work, etc. So for him to say that he's wrong, I kind of find it a bit irritating. And at the end of that Uncanny Revolution run, all he did, he brought everybody together. They stood in front of Congress, and they did nothing. That's it, because that's the kind of person he was. He wasn't going out there and attacking the world. Emma Frost made him seem a bit bad, but I don't think even then he was really that bad. The Mist was killing his people. I think he would have done perhaps the same thing. So it was a bit disappointing for him to say that I'm wrong. I think he should have perhaps said, maybe I could have done things a bit different. I'm a bit irritated by that, as you can tell. Tell me what you think. Are you glad that Cyclops comes back and he says that he was wrong? I just don't know. Anyway, he's back to set it right. So I guess we find out what that means in Uncanny X-Men 11. And I'm looking forward to that. So thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow my Facebook page, SmurredP. And embrace the geekiness. Take care. Goodbye.